After years of neglect, I discovered that my dad isn't my biological father. English is not my first language, so I apologize in advance. I am 17, mom, 38, dad, 40. My parents were young when they got married. My mother is a stay-at-home mom and works part-time while my dad is a software developer. I am the oldest of 4 siblings. I have been treated like the black sheep in the family since I can remember. Birthdays never had anything, just a cupcake from my mom and no presents. I wasn't allowed to have friends over. Christmas was never something I looked forward to. At most I would get some socks while I had to look at the presents my dad, aunts, uncles and grandparents gave my siblings. New bikes, latest fashion clothes, phones, game consoles, games, you name it, they got it. The same was for their birthdays, big parties. Their friends and family would show up and shower them with gifts. I was never allowed on family trips and vacations. I was left behind to stay with grandparents who were strict on everything I did, and sometimes they would just call on someone else to pick me up while I was supposed to stay with them. My mom got a part-time job when I was 13, and with that she would sometimes ask if we could just spend the day together while dad and my siblings were out, even though it was just to get ice cream. When I was at home I mostly stayed in my room and studied. It didn't matter how well I did in school or sports, my dad showed no interest. I was able to get some money by tutoring. Along with that I managed to get a part-time job at a food court and a grocery store, meaning I spent less time at home. Over the years my mental health got worse and worse because of maintaining good grades, doing well at sports, working 2 part-time jobs. My mom helped me find a therapist who has helped a lot. Yesterday I came home from work late, tired and just wanted to go to bed. I opened the door to hear my mom arguing with my dad and aunt about me in the living room. I could hear my aunt saying that I should be more grateful towards my dad. Then they saw me in the doorway and stopped. My mom and dad looked like they had seen a ghost, while my aunt announced, "And in comes the bastard." I was shocked to hear her say that. I know she did not like me and mostly ignored me when we were in the same room. But I got angry and just asked her to repeat what she had said. My dad quickly stopped her, but no, I wanted to know what I should be grateful about. So I asked what was going on. No one said anything for a while. So I asked again, and be grateful about what? Being ignored, neglected, abandoned while my siblings are spoiled and play happy family with dad. As soon as I said dad, my aunt just shouted that I was not his son. I was shocked by what she said and I asked my dad if it was true. He looked at me and just said, "I am sorry." I didn't know what to say. I looked at my mom and she said nothing. I left to my room and just started crying. Later my mom found me on the floor shaking and crying. She helped me up and stayed with me until I fell asleep. I woke up this morning and called in sick. I barely left my room today. I just feel like everything I have done to make the man I call dad proud or just to acknowledge me has been a waste of life. I wish that I had known years ago. Update. After I put up this post I had to get out of the house. I went to be alone for a while and the thoughts of ending things became too hard to ignore. So I called up my best friend and he picked me up. We went for a drive and I told him what had happened yesterday. He just listened while I just cried and told him everything. He knew my father was like this, but not the extended family. I have never seen him so angry before. He had to pull over so he could calm down. I showed him the post and he was silent for a while. After a few minutes he told me that no matter what I was his best friend, and he asked it would be okay if he could talk to his parents about me staying at his place for some time. I said yes. He dropped me off home and we got out of the car. We talked for a bit. Before he left he gave me a hug and just said whenever I felt alone that I should give him a call. When I entered the house I ignored everyone. First I would like to thank everyone for your comments, though I have not responded. I read through all of them. Not only have they been helpful towards to see things differently, but to do the best to stay strong until I will move out. You are right, this man is not my dad/father and I will no longer see him like that anymore. I will try and get some answers on why I am being abused, why after all these years no one told me anything, and the most important for me right now, who is my real bio father. Is he alive? Does he know I exist? And to clarify one thing, I have no idea who anyone on my mother's side of the family are and therefore there's no contact with them. My 18th birthday is in the end of the summer, and I will be moving out that day or even sooner if I have the opportunity to do so. Relevant comments. Funny, Rain, 3930, so sorry to hear that. Can't imagine what you've been or are going through. You do seem like a good kid, your whole life is ahead of you, I'm sure good things await. You'll come out of this stronger and wiser. Didn't your mother and her husband tell you anything after you got home? Didn't they try to stop you from going to your friend or at least talk with you about this? Oh, OP, when I left I didn't say anything, I just texted my mom that I was out and would be back later. When I got home my mom tried to say something but I ignored it, and went on to my room. She came to check in on me later and asked if I'd like to come down for dinner. But I declined and said I wasn't hungry. She stayed for a while and then tried to get me to open up. I just asked why she never told me that he wasn't my father. She didn't answer the question and just said how sorry she was that I had to find out this way, and she left. Update. So a lot has happened in these few days and I am conflicted about many things right now, but I am hopeful that I can start to heal mentally. Also sorry for the long post. On Thursday before I left for work in the grocery store my father, whom I will refer as K, called out to me and I responded by saying yes, his first name, and he looked confused because I have always called him Dad before. After a bit of silence I asked, "What?" quite bluntly. He didn't respond and told me it was nothing, so I went to catch the bus. When I got home late in the evening my mom wanted to know why I called K by his first name. I told her he never treated me as anything closely as a son, so why should I call him Dad anymore? She had no answer and she told me he was hurt by it. I wanted to scream when she said that. Yesterday I had an appointment with my therapist and I cannot put it into words how much she has helped me over the years, and later my best friend called me to let me know that I could stay with them if I wanted. So this morning when I woke up my mom was already awake and making breakfast. I asked her if we could talk alone today and it was important. She agreed to talk after breakfast because Kay had to go to work shortly after. After Kay left she told my siblings to not enter the kitchen for a while. I am paraphrasing a bit because it was a long conversation. We sat down and I found it hard to get the words out at first, but I told my mom that I can't get over the fact that for all these years how I have been treated and neglected by Kay and his side of the family. And she watched it happen and I need to know why. At first she tried to dodge the question and gave the same answer as always. But I didn't give in and told her that this was important to me, and again she tried to dodge it. So I told her that I can't do this anymore. So I was going to pack up some of my stuff and move out, and not until she was ready to tell me the things I needed to hear we would not be on speaking terms. She started to tear up and just told me how sorry she was and kept on saying, "I am so sorry," over and over. It hurt me in that moment to see my mom cry, and I tried my hardest to keep my emotions in, and I asked her again why. After some time when she calmed down she told me what happened. When she was 20 and in university she had a boyfriend whom she had been with for 3 years. They shared an apartment along with his best friend. They were out clubbing when they had an argument because she wanted to stay but her boyfriend wanted to go home and he left. Both her and the best friend were really drunk and she cheated on her boyfriend with his best friend in the club. The next day she woke up and realized what she had done. So after a few days she and his best friend confessed about the affair and her boyfriend broke up with her. Her ex contacted her parents and he told them what she had done. Her parents called her furious and told her she was not welcome back home and took away her financial support. So she had to move out. She lost a lot of friends and had nowhere to stay. She had to live in her car for some time. When she realized she was pregnant she didn't know what to do. She went back to the apartment to find out her ex and his friend no longer lived there. She tried calling and texting them but they didn't pick up the phone or answered any of her messages. She got a job at a cafe house and there she met Kay. He was a regular customer and they got to know each other. Kay asked her out and even though she told him she was pregnant he didn't care at the time. Kay's parents were not happy about the idea that their son was dating a pregnant woman and a cheater and threatened cut him out of their lives. Kay got scared and was going to break up with my mom but she begged him not to and promised to be the perfect wife and have his kids. They made plans to get married soon after I was born. Kay never showed any interest in me when I was born but my mom lived with the hope that one day he would. After hearing all of that I didn't know what to say for a while. After thinking for a moment I asked if she had at any point tried to contact my possible bio father. She said no and the timeline would place her a fair partner to most likely be my bio father but she can't be 100% sure. I asked her if she ever tried to reconnect with her side of the family. She tried to contact them when she was about to get married but her parents, siblings, aunts and uncles didn't want to see her. So she gave up. I asked her why Kay was hurt by me calling him his first name. She told me he has been seeing a therapist for the last 2 years because he has been suffering from depression and guilt. It took me by surprise. She told me that it started when I was 15. I came home after a handball game where we won and I was awarded man of the match and I was so happy and excited to tell them about it. She of course was happy for me but Kay just said to put my award with others in my room. I started to cry in front of him and asked why do you hate me. He didn't reply and I went into my room and cried all night. After that he felt sad like something had stabbed him in the chest and it didn't go away, it only grew. My mom told him to go see a therapist until he relented and after some time the therapist got through to him. For the past few years he has been living with this guilt and he has been afraid to confront it. So when I called him by his first name he realized that he had lost me. The next question I was afraid to ask it. But I asked if he ever abused her. She told me he has never abused her. She told me that Kay has only ever loved her. The only time he ever questioned her about anything was when she was pregnant with my younger brother and he asked for a paternity test which she understood. When it came back positive he apologized and he didn't ask about my other siblings. The last question. I asked her why I was left with people who abused me physically, mentally, and emotionally while they went on trips and vacations. She was shocked to hear about the physical abuse and asked me about it. I told my mom that I never said anything at the time because I was afraid of Kay's family members when it happened. I told her everything I remember, but here is some of the things they did. My grandparents would scold me loudly and hit me when I was younger. My aunt never spoke to me unless she needed a favor, only to then go back to ignoring me and told me to stay in the guest room. When I was 14 my father took the family to a 2-day trip to Croatia. He left me with his older brother. He asked me to go to the store to buy some stuff. And of course I said yes. When I came he opened the door and took the bags and locked me out of the house. I sat there crying until they had all finished with their dinner and then he let me in. She cried the whole time while I told her everything. She told me how sorry she was. She knew they didn't like me, but this was just hate. After the conversation she asked if I was going to move out and where. I told her I was planning on it and where I will not tell her because I don't want Kay to know where I would be staying. She started to cry again. And again it hurt to see her cry. The conversation was long and lasted for several hours, but these are just the main points. After that I went to my room to clear my head and think. About an hour later someone knocked at my door and I told them to open. It was Kay who opened the door. He asked if he could enter and I said yes. It was the first time since I can remember he ever entered my bedroom. He looked around for a bit. He looked shelf where I keep all of the awards and trophies from school and sports. He was both surprised and sad when he saw the medals from then I did track and field and played football. He stopped when he saw the small man of the match award and picked it up. He held it for a while and started to tear up. He put it back and sat down on the bed. Neither of us said anything for a while. I asked if Mom had told him what we had talked about. He was still tearing up and slightly nodded his head. I asked him if he was aware on how I see him. He nodded again and whispered yes. So you know the extent on what our parents and siblings have put me through. He looked me in the eyes and asked it was true. I said yes, and he just started full on crying. After a while he stood up and hugged me. This was both the first time he has ever hugged me and cried in front of me before. I just hugged him back and started to cry. He didn't want to let go and he said how he was sorry for the pain he put me through, for the years of neglect, for treating me like an outsider, and he begged me not to move out. When he finally let go he asked to be given a chance. I told him that maybe with time I could forgive him and Mom, but they had to earn it. But I won't forgive his family, for the things they had done. Also for now he was still Kay. He was hurt by it but accepted it. For now I am not moving out, but if things go back to the way it was I will not hesitate to leave, and he knows it. We are going to see a family therapist together. I will in the future try and reach out to my biological father. But I don't know about my maternal family side. I am on the fence with them. I want to thank you for reading. Slight update. I called my friend and told him what happened. The door will always be open at his place. We have known each other since we started school and we both play for the same team. I know his parents well and they are lovely people. I know many of you want me to move out as soon as possible. But I told them I would like to give them this one chance. And that is what I will do for the moment. Honestly, I am not scared that things will just go back to how things have been. I have been saving all of my money since I started working. To those who have been sending virtual hugs, here's a virtual hug back and thank you. Thank you for all the comments and support. Relevant comments. Ravenliren, what are they going to do about your stepfather's family's abuse? Are they going to call them out on it? And how does your other siblings treat you? Obviously with the exception of your sister who seems to love you. OOP, Kay and Mom have spoken to my siblings that from now on his side of the family will not be allowed to visit any more for the foreseeable future. They were surprised at first, but Kay told them what happened. My brothers didn't know what to say, but my sister got really angry at Kay and Mom. I had a talk with my siblings about how hurt I was with my brother's strained relationship because we were a lot closer. It's like they started seeing me like a roommate rather than a brother some time ago. My sister has always wanted to spend time together, and will get really upset if she misses my games. I let them know that I didn't care if they saw his family outside the house. But my brothers let me know that they would rather try and fix our relationship. Final update. Firstly, I would like to thank all of you who have messaged on the last post and privately. I would like you to know that I am safe and I am at my friend's house. They are willing to let me stay with them long term. These messages have not only opened my eyes but also to see my mom and Kay for the people that they truly are. Both of them do not love me and do not care. I have had people telling me their stories of childhood abuse and neglect and how they got out. Every time I have tried to talk to Mom and Kay about the abuse, tried asking my mom how she can happily leave me behind. Not done anything about it, they have tried to avoided the questions and love bomb me instead and saying that things will change. What really got me was this morning I got a message asking how my mom never noticed any bursts when they picked me up after travels and vacations. That sealed the deal for me. There is no way for someone who should supposedly cares for you not to notice. This morning I got ready to leave and packed up my things. It wasn't that much that I was taking with me. When I was ready I called my friend and asked him to pick me up when he could and call me when he was outside. When my friend called me and I moved my things out. I let my mom know and Kay know that I will be moving out. They did not take it well and started to beg me to stay. I told them that I couldn't stay there because it was clear to me that they didn't care about me. Kay got defensive and tried to say that this was my home and I should not leave. I asked him why for these past 2 years when he was in therapy he has remained the same, how come even though I tried my best I was still treated like an outsider. He didn't say anything. I asked my mom why she let this go on for years without doing anything to stop it. Again she didn't say anything. My brothers weren't home so I went to say goodbye to my sister. It was really hard because she is the only one who has ever treated me with genuine kindness and love. I talked with her a bit and when I told her that I was going she looked so sad. It was harder than I thought to say goodbye to her. When I got to his car I just broke down. We drove around for a bit before we got to his place. His dad helped me get settled in the guest room. My friend told his parents about the posts. They asked me to tell them everything and I did. They parents talked in private for a bit and then let me know that they would rather I'd stay with them long term than to go back. Again thank you for everything.